Well, I am honored to have all of you here. Thank you so much. I was asked to do this talk, and they said the theme was risk. You all know that I'm in the riskiest business out there, right? But it was cool because my motto, when people ask, last June I won Kansas City Business Journal's Women Who Mean Business, and they asked me for a quote, and my quote was, "Great things won't happen to you unless you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, much like these shoes." Had I worn my comfortable clogs, I would not have gotten the great compliments I've gotten today. So thank everybody for their compliments on my shoes. But seriously, risk is just something, and I truly believe that. If you're sitting on your couch watching Game of Thrones, not that there's anything wrong with that. I've only watched one episode, by the way. I'm an oddity in that sense. Great things aren't going to happen. You need to go out and put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You need to take risk. Risk is being able to lose, putting yourself in danger or harm or of loss. Actually, I'm kind of curious of what people put, because at first I didn't know that there's a little thing I had to fill out on your thing. Like what risky thing, what's it say exactly? What risky behavior? What's a risky activity you haven't tried? I saw a lot of skydiving. I'm on that list too. I have no idea why somebody would like literally hurl themselves out of a plane. I don't understand that at all. But I hear it's amazing, but I'll just trust their judgment on that one. I'm not gonna do it. Mine was, I haven't done any risking of other people's money. And that's something that I'm extremely proud of. Everything I've done on my own. When I opened Julian, I maxed out all my own credit cards. You know, and I was happy to have paid them all off and all Julian debt within 3 years, which was like amazing to me. So I'm gonna go back a little bit further. My risk taking started when, probably when I was in Montessori school, and we had to do a little, my mom still tells a story, we had to do a little fake restaurant, and even then, when I was 5, I was running around, I drew all the menus, like the parents came in, I drew all the menus, I told all the other kids what they needed to do, I sat everybody, I mean, this was like a very distinct thing that happened in my life. So it was like not a surprise when I said I wanted to own a restaurant, at least not for my mother. She was surprised when people asked me why I wanted to be a chef. I said I wanted to be the first woman in my family that could cook. She literally doesn't cook, but I'm like, but Mom, I learned my business acumen from you. She's like, all right, fair enough. So even then I wanted to do it. I worked at the Ritz-Carlton Philadelphia, had my bachelor's degree in hotel restaurant management and minors in psychology and business. Psychology, by the way, is the best thing that's helped me in this business. And then at 26, I decided to move to Walt Disney World on my own, by myself, didn't know anyone. And I fortunately had a great experience there. Everybody says, oh, you get to see Mickey Mouse all the time. I never saw Mickey Mouse. I worked in resorts, never saw the mouse, unless somebody rented out my restaurant, and then the bride and groom Mickey would come in, which was weird. And then, I mean, I had a great paying job. I had great benefits. I was one of like 3 chefs on all of Disney's property that I printed the menus in my office, and I printed them every day. Nobody could argue with my numbers, with my guest satisfaction scores, with my cast, that's employees, cast scores. Nobody could argue with those, so nobody ever bothered me, and I was able to do whatever I wanted to do. I was in a totally fortunate situation, but why would I risk doing something different when I had a cushy job? I just don't like being complacent. I don't like standing still. I don't like feeling comfortable for too long, because then I could just do that for the rest of my life, and that just seems too boring to just do that. I was telling somebody just the other day, there are people at Walt Disney World who probably make like $70,000 a year, all they do are coffee breaks. They like sit in a hallway, they wheel out a coffee break, they go back in the hallway, they sit for 2 hours while they have a meeting, they replenish the hot coffee break. I couldn't do that. I don't know about you guys, I just, like, that's not my thing. So, then, great job at Walt Disney World. Why would I risk that thing? Why would I risk being paid well with great benefits? My dad loved Walt Disney World, he collected things and all that. Why would I take away my employee discount from my dad with all of his collectibles? You know, he was very adamant. He did not want me to leave Disney about that time. That was the peak of his Disneyana collection phase. But then I moved to Kansas City to take over the executive chef position at the American Restaurant. Well, again, going to a city. If nothing else, when I did the interview, I'm like, well, I can knock out 2 states at one time. That's cool. And I'd never been to either, and so I was excited for that. And I also knew that the American Restaurant was a place that really fostered opportunity for the chefs that were there. You know, great chefs had been there before. I had read about the American Restaurant when I was 18 years old in Bon Appetit and other magazines, so why would I not take that chance? They obviously give their chefs the environment to be creative and do what they want to do. I should take that. So I came here in 2001. Great position, great family to work with. And, you know, they have a higher budget than the average restaurant, admittedly. But I still ran a 25% food cost or lower. I still adhered to all of my numbers that I would under any other circumstance with any other business. And ran as tight a ship there as I could and did. Changed like a bunch of things, the structure of the menu, you know. I was the one that introduced just one price, so if you pick 2 courses, it was this price. If you pick 3, it was this course. 4 courses, this, no matter what you got. And that proved like super well for the P&L sheet, definitely, because, you know, most people did exactly what I wanted them to do. Pick a starter, pick a salad or a soup, pick fish or meat, and then a dessert. Every now and then, someone like Shannon would come in and try and screw you and get the lamb, the lobster, the foie gras, the scallops, and everything else. But 98% of the people did what I wanted them to do. So, but that was definitely a risk, doing that whole menu change. But when you can go out and take that risk and sell it to people, then it works out. And people loved it because they didn't feel like they're beholden to choosing what they thought they could afford. They knew up front, that's how much I'm going to spend on dinner. I'm getting whatever I feel like eating. So that was a great thing. So I was at the American Restaurant for 7 years, and I decided to open my own restaurant. My dad, again, why would you want to do that? This was like at the time it was 2007 I was thinking this. I left July of 2008, and my dad said, it is the worst time to open a restaurant. Economically, it is terrible everywhere. Don't do it. And I said, well, it's like probably like, and some of you are probably parents, it's like having a kid. If you wait until the perfect time, it might not ever happen. I wasn't going to take that chance, and I didn't want to have any regrets, so I still went out, and I opened my restaurant in September of 2009. Some of you probably remember economically where we were in 2009. It sucked, but I did like very, very well, because I put myself out there, and really the biggest risk I take every day is just creating a menu. You know how many people come in the restaurant? Every single one of those experiences is a risk to me. And putting yourself out there like that. So 2009 I opened Julian. Big risk. Why would you leave the American Restaurant? You had a maid there, you did whatever you wanted, they love you, the guests go in, they love you, you made good money, all that kind of stuff. I just felt too comfortable. So went out there. Now, for those of you that have been to Julian, you can probably tell, I literally did everything in that restaurant. Like, I built the tables, I tiled the kitchen, I drywalled. There aren't any city managers in here, are there? And I did all that myself. And there's a great learning curve and very empowering to know I can bust out 19 tables in 3 days if I have to. And I too can teach you. And then I think Julian was open for 4 or 5 months that I got a call this is the casting company for a show called Next Iron Chef. Have you ever heard of the show? I said I did. My friend Michael Simon was on it, and he was the one that won it the first season it ever had aired. They're like, is that something you'd be interested in? I'm like, well, I just opened my restaurant, and I don't know. Let me think about it, because that's a big deal, you know? Tons of risk there. You're exposing yourself to everybody, not just like people I know, but people I don't know, that people that you don't know like to criticize you more than the people that do know you. So, I mean, there's that. And more importantly, I had just opened my restaurant. So did I want to risk leaving my restaurant for what could have been 5.5 weeks? That was a big decision. And I decided that that was worth taking that risk. And I did it. And I was gone for 5.5 weeks. I didn't win the show, but I was on every episode. I was Final Four. But you don't want to, you take that risk and you're like, there are enough competition shows out at that time. You knew you did not want to be that first person sent home. That is for sure. So, and believe me, those shows are no measurement of the ability and quality of a chef. Just know that up front, because everybody on both shows have been were amazing chefs and great restaurateurs and just awesome people, and made tons of friends by doing those shows. And then, so at that time, when Julian had been open for only 5 or 6 months at the time, I was gone for 5.5 weeks. That sucked on a whole bunch of levels, because I wasn't there. My brand has, fortunately, and sometimes unfortunately, my brand is me, physically me, welcoming people, knowing people's names, chatting with them at the table. That's my thing. That's what I'm known for. And I think food comes second, and food's definitely high on the list, but it is the approachability of me being in the restaurant and being around that I think people really kind of hang on to. So for me to be gone that long, I had to make sure that there's enough people in the restaurant to kind of foster that same environment. So I had extra labor, I had extra this, I had extra that, all these extra costs, and I wasn't there just to cover the fact that I wasn't there. That cost me a lot of money to be gone for 5.5 weeks, and you don't get paid to do those shows either. I mean, you get this ridiculous stipend that barely covered one meal for a bunch of chefs. When we went out, man, and the game you don't want to play when there's 10 chefs still at the thing is everybody throwing the credit card, and whoever's card gets chosen. You want to do that towards the end when there's only 5 or 6 of you. Whew. I got one of those when there were still 9 of us. That sucked. But so I continued to take those risks and go and put myself out there, because I felt it was worth it for people to know that I would take that risk. And it felt good to do it, and obviously to succeed and to have gone as far as I did was just amazing. And then I also did Top Chef Masters, and the same sort of thing. I was on 7 of 10 episodes, not too shabby. And that one was a little bit different because I kind of knew what to expect. But it wasn't it wouldn't be a career-changing thing. It was for charity, so it was a little bit more relaxing. But believe me, when I say a little bit more relaxing, it's still 10 times more stressful than probably most of you know. And it's constant butterflies and rushing and doing this and all that. It's nuts. But I'm so thankful to have had those opportunities and to have even been able to put myself out there and take that risk, because I got lots and lots of great letters from people after Next Iron Chef. Most came from teenage girls that said, thank you for showing us that you didn't have to be a jerk in order to do well. Because there's one episode where I helped 3 of us, and they were all girls, helped another girl get her plate done, right, and get it done on time. And all the guys were like, and I don't even know why this was a guy-girl thing, all the guys were like, this is a competition, man. Why are you doing that? I'm like, well, because if I beat somebody, I want to beat somebody knowing that I beat them at their best, not because they didn't have 20 seconds to put something on the plate. So I got lots of letters from people that, thanked me for that, and that was really, really great. So again, the reward of taking those risks, and maybe I got my plate done, but the risk of Dusky's plate beating mine, to me, the reward was getting letters from people and having them see the way that you can be in competition. You don't have to be, you know, my favorite is when people ask, they're like, so is so-and-so really a bitch, or is that guy really a jerk? Or did they edit him to be like that? And I'm like, well, those words came out of his mouth. So however you want to look at that is entirely up to you. They didn't like certainly take him saying the here and place there and then put that all together. But just know that like some things that people say in those shows, they may have said in episode 2, but they use it in episode 9 because it makes more sense. And then they can kind of make them look like a jerk or whatever. But still, words came out of people's mouths and they were who they were and whatever. But so I implore all of you to go out there, take risks, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable shoes, whatever that case may be, and because you will be better for it. I definitely would not be here today, obviously, if I didn't take all the risks that I have taken. There's so many more risks. I could go on forever with all the risks I've taken. You know, like, good or not, I have not paid a PR person in like 12 years. Because somebody once told me, nobody sells you better than you. So every magazine, article, whatever, was me going up to somebody and pitching the story. That's what I do. I'm always trying to sell me. I'm trying to sell the food, the restaurant, the experience. Whatever that is, you need to put yourself in front of people because they're not going to go out looking for you. More times than not, they're not going to go looking for you. You need to say, right here. I'm over here. And this is what I have to show you, and this is what I have to offer you, and this is why this story is better. That's why this, you know, whatever. My website's better, why my campaign is better than this person or that person, and you always need to sell yourself and put yourself out there.